We are here today with the Humane Society of Tampa Bay, and we are welcome to have Sherry on the show, who is the CEO here today, and she is going to be able to tell us about her story getting involved in this industry, and she's also going to be able to tell us a lot more about the Humane Society than you guys might just see when you come in and adopt a dog or a cat. So Sherry, it's a pleasure to
Very
meet
nice to
you.
meet you. Thanks for coming over here.
Yes, so tell us about your story. What got you into this industry? Where did you start off? How long ago? Everything from kind of the start to the...
And I have to say how long it's been.
Oh, you don't have to
Okay,
say
but I
that.
will.
Yes.
Okay. I've been doing this well over 30 years and originally started actually in Columbus, Ohio, which is where I was born. And then I moved to Detroit, Michigan. And I know it sounds trite, and I just love animals. Well, I just have a passion for animals big time. And I started working at the Michigan Humane Society, and I got hooked. I mean, it's hard to not get hooked. I love people, and I love animals, and putting them together is wonderful. There's so much joy in this job. There's also a lot of sadness and heartache with animals.
Mhm.
But when you have a lovely shelter like we have here and the good programs that we have, I can literally see every day differences that we're making, not only in the animals' lives, but in people's lives too, that love them. Because we can't do this job without people that care about animals.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, what we were talking about before the show is you guys used to have a much smaller facility,
Yes.
and now we are standing in, a deca $1 million building
Yes,
facility,
yes.
which is absolutely gorgeous and has
Right.
multiple floors and offices. So can we talk about you being at the old facility? What prompted Tampa or Humane Society of Tampa Bay to change and go to a bigger building, and how long did that process take from like you guys saying, hey, we want to do this, to like fully developed and opened building? Because I know that takes a long time in Hillsborough County.
It does, and it does take a long time, but it's if you've been to our old shelter, and I want to say, when I joined the Humane Society of Tampa Bay in fall of 2007, always did great work, but it was small. The building was around 12,000 square feet. We had a little tiny mini clinic, and we had to turn animals away all the time because we just didn't have space for them. But what I found when I moved from Detroit to Tampa is that Tampa Bay has a lot of animal lovers and a lot of supporters. And it took a while, but convinced people that we need to build. We had a 3.5-acre spot right here on Armenia.
Mhm.
We've been here well over 100 years. We're known, in fact, we're the third oldest charity in the state of Florida. I bet you didn't know that.
I
It's
didn't.
pretty cool, right?
No.
And we couldn't service all the things that we wanted to do. So we did, like everybody does, a capital campaign, had a lot of support. The DeBartolo family, well-known name in Tampa Bay. Also, Mr. DeBartolo, a huge lover of animals, started the campaign for us. And it took some years. It took probably 3.5 years to get the money, get this community support. And then it took a while to build it because, of course, it happened right in the middle of COVID. But again, I can't say enough. We had drywallers, painters, guys that would come in every day, even if sometimes they were sick, to finish this building. Everybody was behind it because they saw the need and the end product that once we have this big building going from 12,000 to 55,000 square feet, it's going to have an impact, a true impact that you can see on animals. And even, like I said, the people, the construction crew saw that and they helped us out too. So can't say enough about everybody that supported us during
Yeah, so where I was really shocked was I came to you guys at the old shelter in
Yes.
2019. I
Yes.
got my first kitten, which is now a cat,
Right,
obviously, with
right.
you guys. And then I came back in 2022 and I saw this facility and I was like, there's no way this is like an animal adoption shelter. I was like, this looks like it's a huge, like almost like a medical clinic with how
Right.
modern it is. And this is really like a state-of-the-art building.
It
And I
is.
feel like it probably also helps you guys stay more organized, because when I came the first time, there were like kitten rooms, but they were like across the
Yeah, it
entire
was pretty
facility.
bad. It was
Now
pretty
it's
bad.
like very cubicle. It's like you guys have rooms in alphabetical order, right?
Yes,
ABC.
we try. Yes, we try. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's good. So I guess one question now I think a lot of people have is, when people come here, what do you see more of, like dog adoptions, cat adoptions, or other? Because you guys also have other animals, which I think the viewers should listen, because a lot of people think that this is just like, oh, you get a kitten here, or
Right.
you get a sheltered dog.
Dog
but that's
or
not
cat, and
necessarily-
you know what, it almost alternates. Some years we adopt out more dogs than cats. We generally adopt out or save over 12,000 animals. We're one of the larger shelters in the state of Florida. So
Yeah.
it's lastly dogs and cats. Like last year we adopted out more dogs than cats, but this year it's trending more towards cats, and I think the reason is the economic reasons for that, which we can certainly talk about. But I'm a big believer in having all kinds of mammals. We take in snakes. There's a lot of people who love reptiles, gecko, lizards. We have a whole room just for our guinea pigs running free, which is lovely. We make them a big salad every morning. They're running loose. It's a great way for the kids to be able to see the guinea pig and pick out which one they want. We have free range rabbits that are hopping around. So we try to, I wish we even had more room for the different animals that people would like us to take. We've taken in pot-bellied pigs in our back area there. We've had a couple loose donkeys that got out from somewhere. So if we can help it, we're gonna help it. If we can't help it, then we're gonna figure that animal on to a rescue group or something.
So you use the number 12,000. Is that like when you guys have like your big group meetings? Is that how you guys kind of gauge like a yearly game plan or a quarterly game plan? Is it broken down like, hey, here's the target we're trying to hit, or is it just, well, what happens happens, or is there like a game plan?
It's
behind
never
it?
what happens, because I'm very competitive. I always want to do better each year, right? So if we're flat, that bothers me, even though sometimes there might be reasons. We always want to increase. When I first started, I think we were doing like 2,500, 2,600 adoptions. So we've come a long way. We have 125 full-time staff here. We have a lot more than just, like you said, the adoption program, but that's kind of what drives everything. So when people first think of the Humane Society of Tampa Bay, or any Humane Society for that matter, they think of adoptions, which is great, but we have a full-service hospital that's right next door too, and that's important for affordable health care. If you have a pet like you do, it's great to be able to take your pet to that affordable vet that's going to do a great job for your animal, but also not break the bank. So we try to do all those things, again, to support the animals that we adopt. And one thing I think no other shelter has, if you adopt an animal, and let's say it gets home and it's a cat, and it's sneezing, we're going to have you come to our hospital, and we're going to get a free antibiotics that first week. We cover any type of issue with the animal. That's pretty unusual, but we can do that because we have a hospital.
Yeah. So that's one thing I remember is the first one I went over there, and then I actually utilize right now cat doctors for my cats.
Because they specialize in cats.
Yeah, they're off the seal. They're pretty good.
They're excellent. Absolutely.
I was like so shocked. I was like, I didn't realize like the cat business is a big business.
It's a big business.
But
yes.
the amount of cats they're servicing per day there, I was really shocked. And like per hour, they were just like one after one after one, and there was like no gap time.
Right. Well, they know what they're doing over there. They really do.
So it's.
Can I add something about cats? Because there's too many cats in every shelter, and shelters every day refuse cats because they have so many.
Yeah.
Cats are wonderful creatures, but we can't find homes for all the cats that need homes. So we have a TNVR program here at our hospital, Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, Return. So if you have a cat that's showed up at your work or behind your house and you've been feeding him, you want to get him sterilized or her sterilized or him neutered, so that they don't keep making babies, because every time someone brings us boxes and boxes of litters of kittens, we just kind of bite our tongue, because it's like, where are we going to put these, because we have so many cats. So you can come to our hospital, we will sterilize that cat for you, vaccinate the cat, ear tip it, which is the international symbol that says it's sterilized, and then you put it back in the neighborhoods, because in Florida and all the southern states, cats can live outside and be just as happy. I mean, they'd rather be in your house, but if they're semi-feral, not that social, rather than just letting them out there having litter after litter after litter, let's get them sterilized and let's cut down on the overpopulation of cats. And every shelter in Florida will tell you the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. So when I came and I got my cat here last in 2022, one thing that was recommended by a couple of people was I have a female cat as my first cat.
Right.
So they said don't get another female cat because they don't commingle as well.
Yeah.
And it took about a month of having a new cat in the house for them to get together. But I think it's important for people to understand that, because people get dogs and they just like instantly commingle. But when you have cats, like you have to do the slow introduction.
It's a process, right?
And I know that's like some people's rebuttal to coming here and saying like, they're like, oh, I want another kitten.
Right.
or a cat. But I had a cat. I have a cat at my house for 7 years now, and I don't know if I'm going to be okay introducing another cat. But it worked out well for me.
Right.
What I had to do was just set like a screen in between them and do like slow introductions.
Right, so they can kind of smell each other and listen and they talk back
Yeah, and
and
then I
forth,
let
yeah.
them play around for like 30
Yeah,
minutes at
yeah.
a time. But like after like 6 weeks, they were like totally normal. So
Cats are cool. Cats are I think they're like the up and coming pet now because dogs can be expensive.
yes.
Because the economy is kind of dicey. It is dicey for a lot of people. Cats
Yeah.
are less expensive
Yeah.
usually than a dog. You can leave for the weekend if you want with a big bowl of cat food and water and a clean litter box, and they'll be okay for a couple of days. You can't do that with a dog. So cats make it convenient for a lot of people, probably like you and me, that we work a lot of hours. It's just nice to not have to worry to rush home and let the dog out.
Yes, no, definitely. So, we're currently in November. We're almost at the end of the year. So, from what you guys have seen, are you at the 12,000 mark yet in total adoptions?
Yes, we're gonna make that 12,000 mark. We really strive to always do better than what we did before, so yes.
Okay.
But our intakes have also rise because people can't keep their pets for a lot of different reasons. So that's more troublesome, is that you have so many animals, and sometimes we do have to, even in this big beautiful building, sometimes we have to turn big dogs away because we are full. We do not euthanize for space. We're a no-kill for space shelter. So what that means is if you want us to take your dog in and we don't have space for it, you're gonna have to hold on to that dog until we adopt some and then make space. That's how it is every day. That changes. We have a chart on the board of how many open kennels do we have.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
No, it is definitely because people listen. Stuff happens,
Yes,
and
yes.
like I used to see pets in here all the time that they're not 2 months old. They're
No.
4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, or 8 or 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah,
right?
8 or 9 or 10 years old. So if somebody like wanted to bring you guys a dog, is there in a situation they cannot take care of it anymore, and you guys were full at the time, how do you communicate with that client or whoever it is giving you the dog, that you guys reach out to them, send them a text message, just a follow-up call to be able to say, hey, by the way, now we have a spot open for your pet?
I wish we did that, but we actually don't do that. Usually people, it's a phone call or they actually come in and will say, today we have that space, or maybe we don't, but what we can do, especially if you're having some economic problems, we'll give them a free bag of dog food, we'll give them some supplies to help them over the hump until we have space for that animal.
Yes.
So we do make, but we don't actually call people back. The need of, it's literally I think it was like 14,000 animals came through our doors. Some of those animals went back out, RTO programs. The owners came looking for them because they were lost. Thank goodness after the hurricanes, we've had a lot of people come looking for their pets that have lost their lost dogs, so that's really good. But it's always a struggle with every humane society to the output to be better than the input is going to be.
Yeah, do you know how many in the state of Florida humane societies totally there are?
I should know that, I don't. I mean, it's in the hundreds, but I don't know. I want to say 180 some, but that might not be exactly correct. There's a lot. We have a lot in this area, actually.
Yeah.
But every shelter is a little different. Municipal shelters, which are government funded, are different than what we have. We have it locally here in Hillsborough County Pet Resource Center. That's our municipal shelter. We have a contract with them that allows us to take in strays, which is good. Not every county can do that, so you just have to check with your local municipal shelter to see.
Yeah,
what
so
they can do.
so can you talk about like how like behind the scenes business stuff, like how you guys are funded, because you're a nonprofit, right?
Mhm.
So they're a nonprofit. So how are you guys funded in a way? Because obviously electric's expensive,
Yes.
water's
Yes.
expensive.
So it's a lot of it's donations, but a lot of it is programming. We actually have a contract with Hillsborough County, so they pay us a stipend for every stray dog and stray cat that we take.
Okay.
So that helps offset that. But you're right, and we obviously have adoption fees. We don't make money on our adoption fees. We lose money on every adoption.
Yeah.
If we charge what we put into the animal, nobody would adopt, I'm afraid. We have a hospital that throws off a little bit of money for us, which is good, but most of it is donations, wills and bequests, things like that. But it's a struggle. We have so many great nonprofits in this area, so there's competition for all of those nonprofits. And one thing that we have to always work on is getting our message out that, yes, colleges, hospitals, universities, cancer, all that is so important, but animals are important too. I think people don't realize sometimes how important your local shelter is because we provide such a great service for the animals in the community.
Yeah, and you talk about how you guys have over 100+ people that work here.
Yes.
That was the most shocking number to me. I figured you were going to say like 40,
No.
30, 40, 50, somewhere between that
No.
slot. But
No.
I guess talk about some of the jobs that are done around here and some of the jobs that people like wouldn't really think about, and from just looking at it from the Instagram
Right,
perspective,
okay, all
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, 125 people between here and our hospital. So in the shelter per se, just this building, it's
Okay.
like 62 people, and the
Yeah.
rest are in our hospital.
That's still a lot.
That's still a lot,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they all work for the Humane Society of Tampa Bay. But not only do we have, obviously, our adoption coordinators and people that take care of the animals, clean them and feed them, but we have veterinarians. We have 9 full-time veterinarians between the 2 buildings that work here. We have technicians. You can never have enough veterinary technicians because they take care of the animals. Think about it. We have over 400 animals here. And somebody has an upset stomach or somebody's coughing, we have to have staff to medicate those animals and take care of those animals. We could not do it without, I haven't mentioned yet, the volunteers. We have about 400 volunteers that come at least once a month, and we would be dead in the water without our volunteers because there's just not enough people, or we couldn't afford to hire enough people to take care of all the animals that we have. Because all of our dogs, even though we have great, nice-sized kennels and all that, every dog wants to be outside, feel the grass under his feet, the sun on his face. So our volunteers, all of our dogs, unless there's a hurricane, gets out at least twice a day because our volunteers walk them around the block, and that's so important.
Yeah, no, it's important because, it's, in the nonprofit world, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, nonprofits don't pay taxes, right? So that means they don't make money. Like,
Yeah.
they don't really understand how like the balance sheet works in
Right.
nonprofit. But you guys obviously, need to increase the participation level with this, and it's always kind of a battle. Just like you said, you have a lot of competitors
We do.
in the marketplace. A lot of people look at this environment and they're like, oh, that's not competitive. They're just
Right.
sweet and given or letting cats be adopted, and that's kind of like the persona when people look at you guys. But there's so much more to the business as a nonprofit as
Yes.
as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember that, at least in my career, animals have always been kind of at the bottom. It's the animals and the environment were always at the bottom, and it's all these other charities that are up there. But I feel like it's getting better. I feel like people are realizing how important animals are to our families and children. We have all kinds of great children's programs. We have schools that come in to try to teach humane values because, boy, the world certainly needs more of that, right? So I think there's a place for that, and all that, you're right, all that. I have an education person, I have a retired teacher that works here. All that's very important because we want young people to understand and carry this work forward.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I hope the listeners that gets out to is, you could be, because how many people do you know that like they retire but they just can't stay at the house all
They
day with their
can't,
spouse,
right,
they're like, I
yes.
gotta get out of the house and do something, so, or I'm gonna go crazy, right? So I think it's important, to get that message out because, when I think about Tampa Humane Society, that's one thing I was just not thinking about
Right.
is, if I'm an older person or
Right.
let's say I'm a student at the University of Tampa or University of South Florida, like this could be good for my resume.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that, and getting those people in is definitely key for you guys.
It's good for us, but I think it's good for the people too. And I just had a conversation with a gentleman. He's a volunteer. He's retired from one of the big accounting firms. Really smart guy.
Yeah.
And the other day we were talking, it was yesterday, and he said, he was going on vacation. He said, I almost hate to leave. He works at our adoption desk. He says, this is my happy place. And he was kind of a shy guy when he first came.
Mhm.
Numbers guy, whatever, but he loves it. He gets emotional when he sees the animals, especially the long-term animals. Because some of our dogs and some of our cats have been here for months, and when he helps facilitate that adoption and go on, he says that just means the world to me. So it's therapeutic, I think, for all kinds of people, including retired people, and many of our volunteers are retired people from all walks of life, and they love it here.
Yeah, so one thing that's interesting, I think about from like the business perspective to continue on that is like your guys' kind of standard operating procedures when it comes to new adoptees. So my experience was I went to the kitten room
Okay.
and they have like a folder with all the cat's information in that. And if you take that folder, it's kind of like getting a house under contract.
Oh yeah, it's kind of serious, right? We
Oh,
take it
it's
very seriously here.
Yeah, because I got stubbed twice.
Okay,
And I was
okay.
upset about it. And then the next time I went into the room.
You took that kennel
And
out.
I took it before I
Smart man.
played with the cat. And I put it in like my back pocket.
Right.
And I was like, okay, now let me experience the kitten or the cat.
Right.
And let me see, okay, does it make sense? Okay, it makes sense. Well, I have the paperwork. And as I have the paperwork, and you're right, it is competitive. Other people working for the paperwork on that same cat. But that's really how it is. I didn't realize that because the first 2 rooms, that was the reason I got snubbed. And I think, and I did, I got snubbed.
Okay.
But I think the important part is that, you know, people understand that process. And is it similar like that with dogs and all the animals you have where the paperwork's on the inside of the room?
It is, yeah, it is
Okay.
either on the room or on the run. It is like that. I mean, I think people realize, and I actually credit Oprah. I know this sounds weird, but
Yeah.
some years back, she did a whole segment on adopting, which was really great. And she picked, believe it or not, our old shelter that you went to.
Yeah.
I just, from some contacts, she picked us about how cool it is to adopt. And that was like, adopt from a shelter, that's a cool thing to do. Rather than going to a breeder, rather than going, please don't go to a pet store. You know, come to a shelter and truly save a life. And I just think that it is a little competitive, except for the bigger dogs and the pit bull dogs. Those dogs are the ones that sit here longest. And I know there's reasons for that. But for the kittens and the puppies, especially small dogs, those fly out of here, which is a great problem to have.
Yeah, so on dogs, what comes in that like just goes out the fastest? It's like once we have these in, you know, they're a hot topic.
Any puppy, any little puppy, because everybody wants to get a puppy and raise it the way they want to raise it and all that. So that's a whole big thing, right? Especially around the holidays, people love to do that. And any small dog, we get Chihuahuas, and pit bulls are number 1 in shelters as far as the type of breed. Chihuahuas are number 2. We can place Chihuahuas all day long because they're small, right? And a lot of people live in either breed restricted apartments or condos where they have weight restrictions. So any small dog, even an older small dog, usually goes out here really fast. It's the larger dogs that are the ones that are, and the older cats that are the ones that are the biggest heartache for us and that sit the longest. Because nobody wants to see a dog in a cage for months on end.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. Like that's a question I had when I called before I got my second cat. Is I had the question of like how long do those 4, 5, 6-year-old cats sit? Because like I almost felt bad, and I was like, maybe let me get an older one this time because you know mine's you know she's gonna be 4 next year, 5 now. But how do you guys see those older cats moving?
Sometimes it takes a while, but
Yeah.
it just depends. Sometimes people will come in, and I love these people. I want to look at the longest resident that you have here.
Yeah.
So even before they see anything, and it's
Okay.
like, okay, that's a good person, right?
Yeah.
But usually it's because older animals have a lot of times more health risks, right? And they're going to be a little bit more expensive. So sometimes people won't even consider an older animal, but then there are those that will. But sometimes animals we don't euthanize unless an animal got so sick that we couldn't take care of it. So they sit.
Yeah.
We
So.
have volunteers to socialize them and play with them and do all that, but we want them to be in a home.
Yeah, no, definitely. So my only rebuttal, it wasn't really around health-related things, and it was more so like since I have a current existing pet at home,
Right.
will this one get along with it?
Right.
Because I figured it when they're super young, right? Like your kittens, like for the listeners, like when you see the paperwork, they're literally 6 to 8 weeks old in that room.
Yeah, they are.
So I figured, okay, it would mend over well. But I did ask the question, and the lady I spoke with on the phone at the time, this was 2 years ago, had told me that they actually do go.
They do.
They do go. So that's good to hear because I think that's like, you know, the more sad emotional part is like, hey, you know, we want these older pets that they're going to have to go to a second home now to be able to get into a second home.
And did you tell you about the test drive program or not?
No.
We started this a couple of years ago, and I think it's this really smart thing to do, especially for the dogs, the bigger dogs. You don't have to come and just adopt, sign all that paperwork and all that. You can test drive. In other words, you check out that cat, or that dog for a week or two and see how it fits your lifestyle and your family lifestyle and the animal, the resident animal that you have at home. And then after that period's over, the 2 weeks are over, you bring it back. And we either learn a lot about it, we put it back on the adoption for if it didn't do well in your home, or you adopt it. And that has helped a lot. So people check out the animals, see if it works. If it doesn't work, they bring it back. And then we know a lot more. Maybe it really is a house strain. Maybe it doesn't like squirrels. I don't know. Maybe, all those kinds of things we learn about the animals. So that's helped us increase our adoptions too.
Yeah, and if somebody is listening right now and they want, maybe they look at your guys' website, they're 20 minutes away of a ride,
Right.
they're thinking about getting a cat or a dog.
Right.
I mean, I think I know the process, but I'll let you explain the process of what's the best way for them to guarantee, especially if it's something hot topic like a little kitten, for them to be able to get that kitten that they want, or, have the best shot of it.
Get here early. There
Right.
is no guarantee.
That's it.
Because we don't put animals on hold, because a lot of times when people change their mind, they don't tell us and they don't, so we just don't put them on hold.
Yeah.
So that, you just have to get here early. I do a TV segment twice a week, and when I take an animal on TV, sometimes it's been here for a while. Something about the magic of TV. Once they're on TV, then people want it. And I tell people during the segment, especially if it's like a puppy or a small dog, get here early. We have people camping out in the front of our building, sometimes getting here 4, 5 in the morning with their thermos of coffee, waiting to get that premium dog. And I'm not lying. It's incredible, but that's what people sometimes have to do if they want that dog that everybody wants. Like a Frenchie. We just had a Frenchie on last week, and everybody wants a Frenchie, right? Because they're very French bulldog, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves those dogs. We get them in all the time now, but people, they stand in line and get their early.
I don't know if you've been seeing like the yard signs around Tampa, but there's a lot of yard signs like Frenchies, like pups.
Yeah.
Like I've just been seeing a lot of them.
That's
recently.
because people breed them and they need thousands of dollars, that's why.
Oh, really?
Yes. So remember, all the dogs you get or cats you get are going to be sterilized, obviously current on shots, and microchipped. So
Yeah.
you can't breed them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Mine's
Right.
microchip. So here's my strategy when I did it: is I went on the website the night before,
Okay.
and I did this both times because I knew if they were still. Because you guys are very fast with like moving like pictures on the website.
Yes.
So
we try to do.
I figured if I did it the night before after you guys are closed, I was
Nobody
like,
could
okay,
get 'em, right?
nobody could get them, right?
Yeah.
So I figured if I got there super early, that was going to give me my best shot at adopting a kitten.
Okay.
And I was lucky the first time around. Wasn't lucky the second time around. However, I ended up getting a kitten I love now. So
Is that the one with the 2 different eye colors?
yeah.
That's
So I
cute.
got one with a green blue and a green eye.
Really cute.
Yeah. No, he's like the rambunctious one. My other one, she's the great tabby. She's just like the sweetest cat.
Nice.
But anyway, so for our listeners, if they're interested in coming in and adopting absolutely anything, where can they find Humane Society of Tampa Bay?
It's really simple, 3607 North Armenia Avenue in West Tampa. Very easy to find, it's a big white building. We are open 7 days a week. We do that because we want to be able to be accessible for everybody, and it's from 10 to 5.
Okay.
So just come and visit. And if you don't see something you like that one day, this is a permanent thing we hope for you for your life. So take the time to really make sure it's the right animal. Sometimes you just plan on coming a couple of times to really meet the love of your life here.
All right, Sherry. Well, pleasure to have you on the show today.
Very nice.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.